Snow prep. The fluffy stuff is in this week's forecast. See how city workers are preparing to keep roads safe.
Power politics. Only 14 days left until voters decide the next president. And both candidates are sprinting full speed ahead in the final stretch.
And terrible tremor. An earthquake is long overdue for Utah. Will you be ready when it hits?
I'm Jen Benson.
And I'm Ashley Munguia. It's Wednesday, October 24th, and in Utah, it's 12 o'clock.
From KBYU and the BYU Department of Communications. This is the award-winning 11 News at noon.
The GOP activist police say raped several women at his Heber City cabin took his life last night. Officers found Greg Peterson dead from a self-inflicted gun wound. Authorities had charged Peterson with raping several women earlier this year, but let him leave after he posted $2 million bail last week. Officials say they were using an ankle monitor to track his location, but they didn't think he was suicidal.
Last night's snowstorm blanketed the higher elevations, though here in Utah County, nothing struck in the lower valleys. That doesn't mean those who care for our roads aren't watching the weather closely. 11 News reporter Eliza Bishop shows how they're preparing to deal with wintry conditions.
As fall temperatures drop low, UDOT jumps high into action. The process of preparation for oncoming snow takes more effort than people realize.
We've been fixing hydraulic hoses, we've been replacing blades, we've been replacing plow markers, we're checking all the tires, we're checking our wipers, all our lights.
Once the trucks are well tuned, preparing the roads becomes their biggest concern.
They call it pre-wetting the streets. The UDOT drivers take this huge mound of salt, spread it throughout the roads so that they are prepared before the snowfall even starts.
They keep salt water here in this brine hub. 24 hours before a storm comes, UDOT workers will drive their routes, spraying this mixture over the streets. This helps stop the snow from packing, which helps it melt faster.
It's a proactive way to make sure that the roads are safe. It's more innovative, it's cheaper, and it's a way that we plan ahead to get the things done.
This helps stop the snow from packing, which helps it melt faster. For the first time at this Orem station, workers will have access to the toll truck, a vehicle that does as much work as 2.5 snow plows. It has not just the 12-foot blade in front, but also a trailing 27-foot blade, big enough to cover 2 street lanes. In Orem, Eliza Bishop, 11 News.
Since today's snow isn't sticking in Utah Valley, UDOT isn't spreading salt yet. Until then, Cole's team will continue performing dry runs, practicing their winter routes. It may be wintry outside now, but Highland City is already thinking spring. They want people to sign up for an additional curbside can just for organic waste. Mayor Lynn Ritchie says it would keep limbs and clippings out of the landfill and creating compost for people to use in their yards. The city needs 1/5 of people to sign up to make this happen next April. The Sears store at Provo Town Center is getting a second chance at life. The retail chain announced last year that the Provo store would shut down, but have now come up with a way to keep the doors open. Sears is selling the building to a mall management company and then leasing the property back. Mayor John Curtis says he's pleased the store will stay open and that it's an important part of the city's economy.
Beer was on the minds of an Orem City Council last night, considering an ordinance change that would allow beer sales on Sunday. Business owners were hopeful, but as 11 News reporter Ashley Hudson tells us, the studs will stay locked up for on Sunday at least another month.
Both community and council opinions are split between allowing the sale of beer on Sundays and keeping alcohol regulations the same in Orem. But for now, the law isn't changing.
Lori Bolton found a loophole. The state says she can serve beer at the hitching post on Sundays until Orem City makes a decision regarding beer sales on Sunday. The state rewrote liquor laws in 2010 and allows for all restaurants and taverns to sell hard liquor on Sunday. Yet the Orem City Code still says Sunday beer sales are not allowed.
The difference between Sunday and any other day. You know, people are going to drink whether they have to drink at home or whether they can come here and, you know, hang with their friends. It's no different.
The proposed city amendment would line them up with the state law and allow the sale of beer in restaurants, bars, grocery, and convenience stores. Nearby American Fork and Provo both allow Sunday beer sales. director of public safety says other cities with Sunday sales have not seen an increase of alcohol-related crimes. Other Orem convenience store owners say they have to chain up their cold beer on Sundays to prevent theft. Bolton says without beer sales on Sunday, she will lose 20% of her profits and agrees with the community members that say the change will standardize rules across Utah County. Others say that this change would lower the high standard Orem has.
The more you do the Lord's will, the less you reverence that day. So I'm just for reverencing that day and keeping a standard.
The city council ended up deciding that they need more time to consider the matter and postpone their vote until next month.
The new vote will be on November 13th. Council members say they want to hear more from those who live in the city. In the meantime, state law will permit beer sales for those who appeal to the state law. Jen?
The Orem City Council also discussed plans to improve recreation in their city, plans that include building a new dog park, improving baseball fields, and upgrading their 32-year-old recreation center. City leaders say they already have the cash to fund most of their proposed plans, but finding available land may slow the process down. A group that wants to keep an oil project out of the Books Cliffs area is appealing a recent ruling against them. Living Rivers is out of Moab. They say the oil sands project will contaminate groundwater, an argument a judge rejected. The Canadian developer says they'll leave the 62-acre area as clean as beach sand. The lawsuit would next go to the State Court of Appeals. That sounds like a very long process.
Definitely does. All right, when 11 News at noon returns. Utah upheaval. Experts say the state is long overdue for a major earthquake. Find out what they're doing to monitor the situation.
And Little Apple, the company announced a new mini version of its iPad. Will it be on your Christmas list? Stay with us.
President Obama is campaigning his way through the swing states. He stopped at a rally here in Florida as part of a two-day campaign blitz across 6 battleground states. He'll move on to Iowa, Colorado, and then Nevada as he tries to pick up more votes in this tight presidential race. Polls show that he and Governor Mitt Romney are neck and neck.
Mitt Romney is distancing himself from a Republican Senate candidate from Indiana who says pregnancies that result from rape are God's intention. Richard Murdoch says that even though rape is a horrible thing, a resulting pregnancy is something God intended to happen. Romney's campaign says their candidate disagrees with the statement.
When these two candidates squared off on Monday, the words they used sent people to Google for a vocabulary lesson. The most searched terms of the night belong to the debate. Syria, Mali, drones came up quite a bit, but Obama's zinger about horses and bayonets took the top spot. And it seems that people just needed a little help when it came to the word tumult. It means disorder and chaos. So how concerned are you about a major earthquake hitting the Wasatch Front? As 11 News reporter Andrew Clay explains, it's time to get prepared.
Utahns have long known about an overdue earthquake, casually referred to as the Big One. Although the Wasatch Front hasn't seen a magnitude 7 quake in 1,200 years, experts say the risk is real.
University of Utah's seismic stations are the hub of earthquake research in Utah. With more than 250 seismometers scattered throughout the state, researchers can accurately pinpoint the exact location of an event and send emergency response within minutes. Seismologist Catherine Whiddon and a team of scientists work constantly to measure, study, and inform people about this hazard.
The threat's very real. We live in earthquake country and we could have a large damaging earthquake at any time, and it's important that people be prepared, have food and water for 72 hours.
With a timetable of decades or even centuries, people may not always feel the need to actively prepare for an earthquake. But some homeowners worry about what they would do in an emergency.
Where's my family? Where are they? And can we get back together? Is there going to be some big crack in the road or power lines down and they can't get home? And I just want to be able to call them, cell phones. I hope they're still working.
Though a major earthquake may be on the horizon, seismology is an inexact science and cannot predict an event in the short term. Whiddon stresses the need for everyone to have a disaster plan, where they will meet and how to get everyone to a safe zone. Experts say as people begin to prepare now, they can avoid anxiety and panic in the future.
Experts I spoke with say we should also stock up on extra batteries and flashlights in the event of a power outage. For more information about how you can prepare, visit my story at 11news.byu.edu.
A new email shows when the government knew about the Benghazi attack, Syria officials agreed to ceasefire, and Kazakhstan launches a rocket into space. Here's your look at news from around the world. A newly found government email sheds new light about when the White House knew about the attack in Benghazi. The State Department email arrived just 2 hours after the assault and says a militant Islamist group took credit for the raid. The new details add confusion to why the Obama administration struggled initially to determine the nature of the attack. The war in Syria is stopping for 96 hours. The government agreed to cease fire while Arabs celebrate a 4-day holiday that starts this Friday. An opposition group says they remain suspicious of the government's intentions, doubting they'll honor the ceasefire. One government leader is on the record as saying nothing is set in stone. And we have liftoff. 3 astronauts left the Earth in a Soyuz rocket from Kazakhstan. 2 of them are Russian and 1 is an American. NASA flight engineer Kevin Ford. The rocket is on its way to the International Space Station and it should arrive there sometime tomorrow. And that's your look at news from around the world. Ashley?
Still to come on 11 News at noon. Hunting change. A new policy switches up hunting regions, and some hunters aren't happy about it. Why the state is standing its ground. All right, everyone, it's looking like we're falling out of fall weather into winter weather. So get those coats out and those rain boots. If we take a look outside today, currently it's 36 degrees with the humidity there pretty high, 93%. We do have slower wind speeds down at 3 miles per hour, so we can't expect those wind chills to get any cooler, which will be very nice throughout the day. And throughout the night, we'll see a small accumulation of snow, maybe a ½ an inch. Maybe those snow-capped mountains will pop up there. With the low there at 33 degrees, and so we can expect those showers to come throughout the day, and that's because of a low pressure storm moving throughout the state. If we take a look at that satellite map, we can show you just a little bit about what's happening with our state. It's moving through the south up into the north, so we'd expect the whole state to be affected by that storm. So we'll look out for snow and also some rain showers. And for the highs across our state, pretty low, probably the lowest we've seen yet. Logan there at 45, Salt Lake 45, Provo 46, down there in St. George 65, so pretty cool for their high. Taking a look at that 5-day forecast for St. George, it's going to be pretty cloudy for the first couple of days, and the sun will pop out there Friday through Sunday, so it looks like they'll have a great weekend with the highs there in the 60s and then all the way 72 for the high on Sunday with those lows pretty cool in the 40s and 50s. For the northern part of our state, pretty much the same except one difference. Snow, not cool. So snow Wednesday, Thursday, and that sun will pop out there Friday, and then Sunday will be a nice day with highs there at 53 and lows at 39. So Jen, it's going to be pretty cool. Get ready for some snow, get those rain boots out, and also a coat and maybe a scarf. Looks like we're going to have some fashion changes coming up. So get ready for that, and be sure that next week it'll be a little cooler as well, but you know, all is well. We just have to be prepared for that weather.
Yes, definitely have to break out those winter boots. Thanks, Ashley. Utah's buck hunting season is in full swing, but a policy change has some hunters up in arms. Instead of the normal Utah hunting boundaries, the state is assigning licenses to much smaller areas of land. The new system is designed to keep better track of the buck-to-doe ratio, but some are complaining that the new boundaries don't leave them enough room to hunt. The Department of Wildlife Resources say they understand the criticism, but insist that smaller units will benefit hunters and Mother Nature alike.
The bottom line also is that you'll have fewer people hunting around you, and hopefully you'll have a better chance at getting a buck. There's a lot of politics, and we take public comment, but I mean, we got to do our biology.
Deer population is declining in recent years, and the DWR says a high buck-to-doe ratio is the key to getting it back to a healthy level. General season for buck hunting ends on October 28th. You know, Ben, to some people, buck hunting is a sport. It's like living without BYU football.
Yeah, that's right. Luckily, we got BYU basketball starting up tonight.
Coming up next on sports, as the World Series kicks off for the best teams in baseball, it marks the beginning of the coaching carousel for the less than stellar squads. I'll tell you who's been hired and who got fired. And cell phones shut down. The volleyball team is making road trips a no-phone zone. Find out how it is helping the team. Sports is next. Stay tuned. John Stockton and Karl Malone are together again as the former Jazz stars were inducted into the Utah Sports Hall of Fame in a banquet at Energy Solutions Arena Tuesday night. Former BYU All-American athletes Chad Lewis, Doug Padilla, and Richard George were also inducted. The BYU women's volleyball coaches are training the players on more than just bumps and spikes. They're also teaching them how to communicate face-to-face. As 11 Sports reporter Christine Wallach shows us, the team's cell phone policy is about keeping your head in the game.
The volleyball team uses today's technology to watch videos of games or get statistics on matches. But head coach Sean Olmstead says there is one technology best done without. We see it around campus. People talking and texting, glued to the screens of their cell phones, and the volleyball team members are no different.
I also think, again, that, we kind of, as a society as a whole, have kind of lost the art of communication.
The coaches make their players keep their cell phones off or put away during any team-related activity, including road trips.
But it is a little bit hard, but it's definitely made a really big difference with our team and our relationship with each other.
Players say they enjoy each other's company on and off the court, and because of the limited cell phone use, they can focus on the game at hand a little better.
Although cell phones are prohibited on trips, there are times when the players are free to surf the web, call, or even text.
But we do need them sometimes, and that's necessary, but we try to put them away as much as possible.
The players are allowed to get on their phones during downtimes in their rooms or to contact loved ones once they arrive at their destination. So if you want to get in touch with a volleyball player on an away trip, you may have to wait a while for a response. On BYU campus, Christine Wallach, 11 News.
The volleyball team is on the road this week, leaving today to play Gonzaga tomorrow and Portland Saturday, which means their cell phones are in the off position. BYU basketball fans can get their first look at the men's basketball team tonight at 7. The Cougar tip-off is free to fans and will feature a scrimmage and an autograph session with players to follow. If you can't make it out to the Marriott Center, watch the game on BYUTVsports.com. The World Series starts tonight. The San Francisco Giants will host the Detroit Tigers at 6 p.m. Team managers are ready for the chance to guide their squads to the World Championship.
The journey's not over. We have a big series here ahead of us. When you get to the World Series, it's a thrill of a lifetime. This is what we do for a living. We don't get here very often. Nobody does.
Teams that weren't good enough to make the playoffs are busy, even though they aren't playing games. The Miami Marlins fired manager Ozzie Guillen after just one season following a last-place finish in the NL East. And the Boston Red Sox introduced newly hired manager John Farrell Tuesday. The former pitching coach will look to improve a staff that finished near the bottom of baseball in ERA.
All right, Ben, I want to talk a little bit about the volleyball team having to turn their cell phones off. I mean, that's hard enough for us.
Just one day would be a lot.
Yeah.
That's right, and they've got this long road trip this weekend, so they're going to only have their phones available for just a little bit of time and to contact their families, and that's it.
Well, I guess they'll save some money just not texting.
It will help them probably do really well in their games, for sure.
All right, thanks, Ben. Still to come on 11 News at noon. iPad Mini, the new, smaller Apple device, packs a big punch. But is it at the right price? You decide when we come back.
Apple fans just got the iPhone 5, and now there's something new for them to obsess about, the iPad Mini. The tablet is smaller than the iPad. It has an 8-inch screen and weighs less than a pound. The company says it has a 10-hour battery, and the Wi-Fi model will start at around $330. You can expect the lines to wrap around the Apple stores a week from Friday. 8 a.m. is when they go on sale.
Smaller and easier to lose, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I just got a new iPad. Now they have a newer one. It's so hard to keep up with them all the time.
Yeah, I got to get a new phone, but I might be holding out for the next one.
All right. That's 11 News at noon for Wednesday, October 24th.
You can join us anytime on our website at 11news.byu.edu.
Thanks for watching and have a great afternoon.